Hi there, I'm Catherine Pinkham from the Insomnia Clinic, and today I wanted to talk about how we can reprogram our brains to sleep well. So before I talk too much about how we can reprogram our brains to sleep well, we need to look at actually what has happened with our thoughts and our programming, which has meant that we can't sleep well anymore. If you are a poor sleeper, one of the exercises that I always get people that I work with to do is to just start noticing the language that you use with yourself. So poor sleepers will often describe themselves as bad sleepers, that they never get any good sleep, that they never sleep, that they can't cope the next day. They spend a lot of time thinking and engaging in very kind of catastrophic language and thoughts around sleep and how it affects them. Now, I'm certainly not minimizing how they feel. I think that when we can't sleep well for a long time, it can feel really devastating. It's very despairing. You can feel very frustrated, like there is no hope. So I'm not minimizing those feelings. But this video is about the language that we use and how it affects us. So I like to think of it that actually if your brain, if your subconscious is a garden, then the thoughts that you have are the seeds that you're planting. So if the seeds that you're planting are, I am a bad sleeper, I never sleep well, I'll never sleep before that meeting next week, I know I'm going to sleep badly, I know I'm going to be too tired, I know I'm not going to cope well, if I can't sleep, X, Y, and Z will happen. If those are the kind of thoughts that we're having, then these are the kind of seeds that we're planting in our mind. And what we know is that we are really suggestible to what we think. If we think positive thoughts, if we think we're beautiful, we feel beautiful. If we think we're good at something, we tend to be better at it, and vice versa. If we think thoughts that are not helpful to us or that are negative, then we feel that way. So how we think is how we feel. So it's really, really important not to let thoughts that don't help you become part of what you say to yourself about sleep. So even if you feel like you are a bad sleeper, I want you to start noticing how often you say those kind of things to yourself. If you told it, let's imagine that you had a baby, and when you were trying to teach them to sleep, as they got a bit older, when they were a toddler perhaps, you constantly told them every day they were a bad sleeper. How do you think they would sleep? How well would they sleep? Would it be possible for them to sleep soundly every night if every day they were trained to believe they were a bad sleeper? They wouldn't, they would sleep badly. And this is what you're doing to yourself. So every day when you say these things about you, how you won't cope or how bad your sleep is and how what a terrible sleeper you are, then you're training your brain not only to sleep in that way, but to continue with this cycle. Every day we're cementing the same cycle with the same thoughts over and over again. And the first step in changing this is to start noticing. So rather than just letting these thoughts just come and go, and become facts, you believe them as though they're actually real. I want you to start noticing them. Every time it happens, just catch it. You don't have to engage in it. I don't want you to beat yourself up about it or be unkind to yourself. It's very normal that you would be thinking this way. But start to notice it and ask yourself, how is that going to improve my ability to sleep well? How is that helping me to think that way? How is that language making me feel? And start to dissect it a little bit. You could even keep a little notebook and a tally of how many times a day you say something negative to yourself about sleep. And then once you've started to notice it, the next step is just to slightly reframe what you're saying. Now, I'm not saying that we stop saying I'm a fantastic sleeper, I sleep solidly for 8 hours a night and wake up, feeling refreshed and full of beans, because you don't believe that. I'm just asking you to start shifting and reframing. So rather than I've always been a terrible sleeper, reframing it to I don't always sleep brilliantly. I never get any sleep. Actually, reframe that to you always do get some sleep. I can't cope on less sleep. Well, actually, I can't cope is a really catastrophic thing to say and would definitely make me feel under pressure to sleep well if I thought I couldn't cope tomorrow. But actually, when you say I can't cope, what does that really mean? Do you still get to work? Do you get your kids to school? Do you manage to feed yourself? Do you manage to get through some work? If so, then that doesn't mean that you're not coping. It means that you don't enjoy how you feel and that you certainly feel tired, absolutely, and it certainly might be affecting your mental health and your physical health. But this idea that you're not coping, just try and challenge that. How much do you actually achieve? You're an expert at actually coping on deprived sleep. So try to reframe these statements and see if you can change how they make you feel. So what we think determines how we feel. So now think about actually, if I want to feel like a good sleeper feels, i.e. not worried about sleep, knowing they're going to sleep well probably, and even if they don't, they'll be fine. If I want to feel like that, what do I need to think? So you're going to start making a list of actually, in an ideal world, blue sky thinking, what would you need to think if you wanted to feel like a good sleeper? And the kind of things that you would want to think would be, even if I don't sleep well, I'll still cope tomorrow. I always get some sleep. I'm doing perhaps if you're doing the CBT for Insomnia program with me at the moment, I'm doing all the right things. The chances are my sleep's definitely going to improve. Look at all the gains that you've already made by the changes that you've already made with the program. So start to reframe it. Think about how is what I'm currently thinking making me feel? How can I reframe it? If you can't reframe it, could I at least just notice it and then allow it to go rather than carrying on thinking it? Could I just say, I've just said that I'm a bad sleeper again. I've just worried again about tomorrow. Could I just notice it and then let it go? And then think about, actually, what would it be like if I spent an entire day thinking like a good sleeper, thinking that I could sleep well, thinking positive thoughts about sleep? How would that change how I feel? And how might that change how I actually sleep? So this is programming yourself. It's unprogramming yourself from thinking like a bad sleeper and a poor sleeper, and actually programming yourself to start thinking differently. Now, this is one of the steps that you can take amongst the others in the CBTI program. But actually, it's a really important one because we tend to not notice a lot of the language that fuels a lot of our anxiety and issues. So I hope that's helpful for you. Please comment below if you have any more any comments on that and how you found it, or if there's any other videos that you'd want me to record on this, and have a go. Let me know how you get on. Thank you.